Good afternoon, Patriots. This is the American Vision, broadcast to you on the TLBTV network and brought to you by the Liberty Beacon Project. Today we're going to talk about the deep state and corruption in the swamp. And we all know it's there and we see so much of it every day, but I'm going to try and bring this to you in a more historical point of view. I've talked to a lot of people, and many of you aren't even aware of what happened. So did you know that the Clinton Foundation is being investigated? No, you probably didn't, because this is 2018, but I'm talking about 2001. The Clinton Foundation was being investigated back then. And why was it? Because on January 20th of 2001, President Clinton, right before the inauguration of President Bush 43, pardoned Mark Rich. So you say, well, okay, who's Mark Rich? Well, he was a convicted tax cheat. He was a fugitive from the United States Justice, all around pretty bad guy. But Clinton pardoned him. And at the time, Rich was living had fled to Switzerland, was living in Switzerland. So why did Clinton care about this guy? Well, his rich wife, Denise Rich, had just donated $500,000 to the Clinton Foundation. And from 2001 until 2003, the Clinton Foundation did not report any contributions, any revenues. So you can say, well, how could they do that? Well, they did it because they're in the political establishment. They're in the corrupt deep state, and they've got all their people surrounding them. So this is how it works. Specifically, the probe, which closed in 2005 without any charges, dealt with Clinton's 2001 pardon of Mark Rich. At the time, the pardon was heavily denied as being politically motivated. The federal prosecutor who decided not to prosecute Bill Clinton or anyone else in the Rich pardon case was none other than our old pal, James Comey. You didn't know that he went back this far. Actually, he went back into the 90s, and he and his brother Fred are probably two of the most corrupt individuals in the world. Now, his brother Fred works for a law firm that handles the Clinton tax work. So you can see where all this is going. So anyway, here's what happened. A grand jury had been impaneled, and this investigation ran all the way up to 2005. And governments from all around the world had donated to the charity. So you'd think an honest investigator would be able to figure this out. Well, who was on this team with Comey? How about Rod Rosenstein? How about Lois Lerner? How about Andrew Weissman? And how about Comey's BFF, Robert Mueller? Well, guess what? Can you imagine that? And so guess what happened? Lois Lerner was transferred to the Internal Revenue Service to run the tax exemption branch of the IRS after this thing was over in 2005. Interesting, huh? There's so many strange coincidences you can't imagine. So Rosenstein became assistant attorney general. These guys all got big jobs for doing nothing. And Mueller got a big job. He became the FBI director. So what do these people have in common? You know, they're all crooks. Comey left the Justice Department to go and cash in at Lockheed Martin. Hillary Clinton running the State Department and used her own email server. And how about the uranium case where Obama and Clinton gave Comey the uranium samples that give to the Russians on the Moscow tarmac, which he delivered to them? I've written all this stuff in articles. If you go to my webpage, you can see all the articles I've written on all of this corruption. And it's all been documented. I've researched it all. So you're thinking, okay, what else could happen here? Well, Clinton went to Moscow and gave a speech and got $500,000 after he met with Vladimir Putin at Putin's home for a few hours. How about that? And they say Trump colluded with the Russians. Well, you know, none of this stuff makes any sense to anybody. So, you know, the Department of Justice, then they just put a gag order on the informant to all this that told us all about it, and they threatened to lock him up if he said anything about it. That's what the deep state is all about. That's what this corruption is all about. They're running wild in there, and they just do anything they want, and they don't care who they trample or what they do. You know, you saw what happened with Lois Lerner. She got everything she wanted, didn't she? But what did the American people get? Not much. When Rosenstein appointed Mueller, what he did is he placed the Washington Mafia in a position to criminalize everything Trump. But let's look at some of the previous investigations that these guys have all been involved in. We're talking about Mueller and Comey and Rosenstein and Wiseman and Lois Lerner and all the rest of them. How about a guy by the name of Frank Crotone? Have you ever heard of him? No. But he's a banker that Comey pursued relentlessly on banking-related charges without fruition. He couldn't find anything wrong in criminal conduct, so he went after him for obstruction of justice because of a single ambiguous email. Does this sound familiar? So Comey made false statements about him and his intent. And the trial ended up in a hung jury, but the second one he got a conviction on. So Comey ruined this guy's life for no reason whatsoever. And then how about Martha Stewart? She was sent to jail. But you may not remember that Comey was the one who put her there. He was unable to charge her for on inside trading, so he got her on some trumped up charge. I guess I shouldn't use that word. Anyway, and so I'm not a Martha Stewart fan. I could care less about Martha Stewart, but she shouldn't have gone to jail. She shouldn't even been investigated. But this was what Comey did. He was out to get her, and he and all of his guys, the same guys we're talking about, this whole cast of characters was involved in this, and that's what they did. So Martha Stewart was prosecuted for having misled the people by denying having committed a crime with which she was not charged. So can you believe this? This is what they've been doing. Now, you know who Stephen Hatfield is? Oh, he was the subject of a bungled investigation into the anthrax attacker who had struck after 9/11 hijackers attack, terrorist attacks. And it involved both Comey and his BFF, Robert Mueller. The FBI tried the case against Hatfield, and the Shady Stream media, they just were all over it. But the actual case was thrown out of court. But Comey and Mueller, whatever you want to call him, badly mismanaged this case. It was one of the biggest cases they ever handled. They botched the investigation, and they ruined so many people by doing this. So anyway, Hatfield, he was an implausible subject who was a virologist who never handled anthrax, which is a bacterium. So what evidence did the FBI have against Hatfield? None whatsoever. The agency imported 2 bloodhounds from California whose handlers claimed they could sniff the scent of the killer on the anthrax-tainted letters. These dogs were shown to Hatfield, who promptly petted them. When the dogs responded favorably, their handlers told the FBI that they'd been alerted on Hatfield and that he must be the killer. So Comey was absolutely certain that it was Hatfield. It's unbelievable. And then how about the Scooter Libby thing? Remember that deal? Judith Miller went to jail over that. That was Comey gave Patrick Fitzgerald, his close personal friend and godfather to one of his children, the role of a special counsel in the investigation of the leak into Valerie Plame's identity as a CIA employee. But Scooter Libby had nothing to do with this. He wasn't involved. They had absolutely nothing about it. And the thing about it was, this Patrick Fitzgerald, who probably is number 3 scumbag in the world behind Comey and Mueller, he knew who leaked it. It was Robert Armitage, one of Schumer's buddies. And Schumer knew about it. And I remember the Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock, Schumer came out on a press conference and called this the most despicable act in the history of the country. Outing a CIA agent when she wasn't really an agent. And he knew full well it wasn't her, but they were just out to get Scooter Libby because they thought that they could get the Cheney, and then they could get the Bush. So they were going to work their way from the bottom up to the top. But that's who it was. Comey was involved in that one too. So this is what's been going on. It's been going, I've got cases, I've got dozens of cases I could tell you about, but we don't have time for it. And you don't want to hear all about them. I just want to get the point across to you that this has been going on for a long time. And it runs deeper than you can imagine. And we don't even know who all these crooks are. We don't know who all the people in this mafia are. But it's a swamp that needs to be drained, and it needs to be drained immediately. And there's a lot of people that need to go to jail. Okay, boys and girls, thanks for watching The American Vision. And I guess you've heard me say this before, but you need to get the book. Now, many of you who are watching have already read the book, but you need to tell people who haven't read the book that the solutions are in this book. And if you haven't read it, you don't know what you're missing. You're missing out on everything that has to do with how we need to fix America, how we need to drain the swamp, how we need to get America back on the right track. So folks, tell everybody to buy this book. And if you've already bought the book, buy a book and gift it to someone. I love doing this. I'll sign copies and inscribe them. I'll write a message. I'll tell them it was a gift from you. And it's something that they can keep and refer to. It's got a beautiful cover. If you can, it's Washington crossing the Delaware, and you see all those guys in there. Those guys, those are our modern day Marines, and you see the Marines flying those F-18s up above there. I mean, tell me what you think about the cover, because a lot of people have a different interpretations of the cover. So, boys and girls, thanks again for watching the show. I hope you understand now what we're facing with this deep state and how corrupt they are, and how this small band of people are just ruining the America that we know and love so well. So God bless you all. God bless our America, and God save our America. We need you now more than ever before.